There is more to this than we think. An article lays out one thing, just one thing that rookie Stephon Castle needs to improve upon to have him reach his full potential and to become the player that we all believe that he can be. And the alien is climbing up. The alien is climbing up the MVP ladder. He is now in the top 4, and we're going to break all of that down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. If you guys haven't yet, take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button and not missing all of the daily Spurs content that we have moving forward, me, Josh, and Brian. But let's get right underway with it. Spurs rookie Stephon Castle's success is held back thanks to one key stat. And if we've watched Stephon Castle this year, we have seen a guy who can put up points in a hurry. He has the assists to his game. He can get downhill. And the thing that he can really do is the athleticism just pops off the screen. He is such an athletic guard on the floor, and he just does things like, oh goodness. The bounce, the quickness, short area, open court. The things that he can do with the ball in hand is really amazing. And the talent that he has is special. 4th pick overall, of course, the Spurs took him there, and coming off a national championship, which is another reason why we liked him, because he played in high-pressure moments even as a young kid, so he still has a little bit of that Spurs quality to him where the moment doesn't feel too big. The one thing with a lot of Spurs players that you've seen, the moment just never is too massive for them, obviously, which is great why we have Chris Paul there, Harrison Barnes there, but that's been a Spurs whole tradition and a Spurs kind of staple of the past is that they are never going to beat themselves. They are only, if you beat them, it's because you earned it. And Stephon Castle came from a guy in Dan Hurley who did the same kind of thing. But unlike Wemby, we came in, the one thing with him was actually the offense a little bit too, but we knew the skill set was there. It was just how was he going to transition? How quickly was he going to transition? And apparently it's been as quick as possible, because in year 2 he's already top 4 for MVP if the day was to end right now. But there's plenty of time for him to develop into the two-way player that we believe that he can be. In college, his scoring and shooting was left to be desired. He was an athletic kid, could get downhill, as I said before, and a better point guard than you would expect, even though he didn't have to have a lot of those duties because they had another guard alongside him at UConn. He only shot 26.7% from three-point range, but inside the arc, he was a 54.4% shooter, which is very good. He was able to be above 50%, especially from a guy who is most likely going to be getting the bulk of his shots from within side to 22-foot arc there. But this season in the NBA, that's down to 46, which isn't bad, but you're going to have that when you're going from games against Xavier at UConn to games against Milwaukee in Milwaukee. You're going to have that, but it's just the shooting prowess from Stephon Castle, getting to his spots and being able to get quality looks still while being effective and while not disrupting the flow of the offense. That is the one thing for him this year that he can improve upon, and for his career, something that he'll be able to improve upon. And if he does that, we're going to see a guy who could be a budding all-star, maybe all NBA kind of player, because he has that kind of potential and that kind of talent athletically. So far in the season, averaging about 10.7 points, 3.7 assists, but defensively, he's been playing great. 29.3% shooting from shots from 15 feet or further, and 29.8 from three is what he's holding people to, which is better than the league average on the season in total. It's 10.7 points, 2.4 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 38% from the floor, 25 from three. Those numbers will not get it done. Need him about 46% from the floor, 32 from three. He can settle there, we'll be happy, because that will be the secondary aspect to his game, will be scoring. Getting him up to about, I would say, if at peak Castle, it could be 20 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 46, 33, about 75, 80% from the free throw line, getting about a steal a game, showcasing what he really can do. I mean, really, the guy that you want to really kind of compare him to, and what I would love to see, a little bit more athletic version of what Drew Holiday does. Quintessential point guard when he needs to be. He can shoot. He has gotten his shot better and better. He came into the league a great defender right now. He is maybe arguably the best on-ball defender in the league, if not one of them. Another guy like a Derek White style, which we know here, but those kind of guys who the shots develop. We've seen people shot develop. We saw Lonzo go from this broke jump shot that worked in college but didn't work in the NBA to now he can be a 40% three-point shooter for an entirety of a season. So we can see people do that, and he is a guy who looks like he puts in the work. He's got people to learn from. Chris Paul, obviously Wembanyama, obviously Tre Jones is still a quality point guard in the league. He's got plenty of people to learn from and a great coaching staff that's behind him. But on this season, in fact, only 4 players have taken at least 9 shots per game and have an effective field goal percentage under 43%. Castle happens to be one of them. Castle has the ability, though, offensively. He has the tools. He needs to refine them. We saw LeBron come in as an unrefined prospect. Obviously, LeBron is at a completely different level than what Stephon Castle was coming in. But we've seen people unrefined. The guy that was a superstar for us, that we don't mention his name anymore, was unrefined. Paul George had the capabilities, but he wasn't the scorer that he was coming out of Fresno State. There's been a lot of people who come into this league and they're young, they learn, they get around good players, good coaching, and the talent's there. He doesn't have a broken jump shot. The shot doesn't look bad when he's shooting it. He has good handle. He can get to his spots. It's just actually completing the play and completing the objective every time he does so. But Stephon Castle, overall, I do feel like Stephon Castle is going to find his way in this league, and I think by the end of next year we could see him averaging close to 15 points a game on above 44% shooting. He does that. The San Antonio Spurs team has a wide new wrinkle to it. But Kia MVP ladder, Shea, number 1, cool, great, Shea, love you, you're doing a great job this year. We don't care about that, we care about this guy. We care about number 4 on the list. Number 1 was Shea, number 2 was Giannis, number 3 was Jokic, and number 4 is Victor Wembanyama. It's crazy how the top 4 are all non-Americans, but, that's neither here nor there. That's kind of where the league's going. 25 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks a game. We'll get even a deeper dive into the statistics, but his case, 35 and 18, and then 20 and 23 back-to-back against Jokic. That's the best player in the game. He looked him eye to eye and said, whatever, I'm going to do me, and I'm going to go at you, and I'm going to play on your level. Jokic got the best of him. He got the best of Jokic. You want to climb up this ladder, you're going to continue to do great things, and Victor Wembanyama is continuing to do great things for the Spurs organization and for the league. He is not afraid of anybody. He shows up in big moments. I mean, on the season, we saw the 25, we saw the 8, or the 11, but there's 4 assists, 4 blocks, 1 steal. He's shooting 48% from the floor, 35% from the three-point line, and it is a treat to be able to watch players like this on day in and day out, and we need to make sure that throughout his career that we appreciate him the way he should. It got to a point with the greats and how sports media is. We get to a point with these greats where we talk about them in non-glowing terms because it's like, oh, well, you haven't won a championship. We comparison this, comparison that, and comparison's the thief of joy, as we all know. But, we got to get to a point where we're just talking highly of players like LeBron, Steph, KD. Move down, it's Jokic, it's Giannis, that's the next, and then we keep going on. These players, of course, they have to produce at some point, and Wemby is going to produce. He's in year 2. He's taken this team. They were 22-60 last year. We're now in the thick of a playoff race, and we're going to be there at the end of the season. It's already an improvement. We've almost already won more games this year than we did last year. It's not even the All-Star break yet. So clearly the improvement's there. The roster's got to improve. But as long as we have this guy on the roster, we're going to make deep playoff runs, and we need to appreciate it as it happens. I know you see a lot of these kind of obscure stats of like, oh, first person to have this stat line or that stat line. And I get that that's the NBA's way of trying to push this stuff. And sometimes the stat lines are almost stupid and obscure, but we're not going to see many players like this. We've never seen a guy like him before. Obviously, Kevin Durant's tall, but he is much taller than Kevin Durant, much longer wingspan than Kevin Durant, and still has the abilities that he does have. We don't get this often. We need to appreciate it from day one, give him his flowers while he can still smell them. We don't have to try to hold them back and be like, oh, well, once he's gone, then we can recognize how great he is. He is great. He is phenomenal. He's in year 2 already a top 10 player in this game today. He's continuing to do that. He's putting this team on his back because right now we do not have a second option that is consistently showing up offensively for the San Antonio Spurs, but we're still in every one of these games. We don't really get blown out. If we lose heartbreakers. If we lose, they're close games at the end, or we get beat up in the first quarter and then we storm back, but we just have it's too little too late. We don't get beat wire to wire, blown out often. And that is because of him. He is too good. And I know this is coming off a Bucks game where we kind of gotten beat pretty handily, but even so, in the third quarter we came back and we made that a decent game. And then just in the fourth quarter, they put it away from us. But we don't really get beat wire to wire. We don't really get beat wire to wire all that often. It's going to happen because it's an 82-game season and every team gets beat wire to wire. But Victor Wembanyama, number 4, he is going to continue to climb as we continue to win games, and we're going to put together some wins here, especially before the All-Star break and right after the All-Star break. We're going to put together wins here, and this Spurs Nation, I'm telling you now, Spurs Nation, be ready. We are going to go on a nice playoff push here, and we're going to think to ourselves, man, this team can at least get to being the Elite 8, being the final 8 teams in the whole entire NBA. It's going to happen, and we're going to see it before our very eyes, and it's because of this guy here. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about Stephon Castle. Do you guys think it's just the shooting? How do you think he can better that? What positions do you think he needs to put himself in to be better with that? And Victor Wembanyama, do you think he actually has a chance to win MVP this season? Or is the record not going to be there? Or the Thunder's going to be too good and Shea's going to kind of run away with it? What do you guys think is going to happen for the remainder of the season? Would love to hear it from everybody there. But this has been Spurs Digest with your host here, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will be seeing you guys very soon.